Subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon, and never miss an update from Latestly.
So after this pandemic, you got to shot for this movie, and in between there was a lull, and again going back, couple of people were down with COVID as well. What the experience was like overall?
I mean, it's really difficult to, put it all together in one go because one is still processing the whole, pandemic that the whole world is seeing. But yeah, I guess I was very paranoid to go out, mostly because I had a little baby at home, you know. And we are so not clear about what this virus can do and how it affects people. And, I mean, we don't have that much knowledge about it still. This is relatively new. So for me, it was just I was pretty paranoid. I was very anal about who can come into my house, who can't come into my house. Keep maintaining that social distancing. Who's going to touch my baby, who can't touch my baby, and people used to get irritated with me about it as well. But we don't know till we don't know. There's no point taking unnecessary risks. So when nail polish I was supposed to do, I was like, no way, I can't go out there and shoot. And suddenly I've been like isolating myself, and now you want me to be around 200 people. I mean, how's that going to happen?
Right.
But Tarun said, buddy, you have to hear the script. Tarun from Z5, Tarun Katyal, he said, you have to hear the script. This is a role which is tailor-made for you. You can't say no to this. And that's when I was introduced to Bugs Bhargava on a Zoom call. Complete charmer of a man, a purist as an artist, okay, just can think about his work. And I saw the passion which he had about this film and the story that he wanted to tell. And it was a very moving story, which I could tell from just the little bit of conversation that we had. And then we didn't discuss the film. We discussed processes about what's his process, what's his take on how, a film should be made, or, his motivation to make films, stuff like that. And he was asking me about my processes. And from there I was like, okay, this guy's thought process is really interesting. So I asked him, why do you call it nail polish? It's a courtroom drama.
Yeah.
And he said, just read the script, buddy. So I started to read the script, and I promise you I couldn't put that script down. That screenplay is absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best screenplays I've read. It is definitely, all the characters are so well defined. And the story, the case that we fight, it's mesmerizing. It keeps changing. There's so many twists, there turns. There's so much you think, so much you feel. And the other beautiful part of the script was that you don't just see these gentlemen before the judge, who is Rajit, or Anand Tiwari, who's the PP, the public prosecutor, myself, the defense lawyer, or Manav called the accused. You don't just see them in the courtroom. You also see them in their personal spaces. And for me, that was the clincher, really. Where that gives you the opportunity to make characters humans.
True. True. You also
When you
said
go into that.
you also said in a statement that the script of this film is as interesting as the title of the film. Of course, the script is going to unfold on the screen. We are going to watch that as well. But
That's
can you
what.
give
So
us
when
a
I was reading,
little hint about the title, Nail Polish? Now that is
so
quite
that's what.
interesting.
So when I was reading the script, and when I discovered that why he called it nail polish, I had this big grin on my face. And I think that's the only way an audience should discover it.
Yeah.
Is when they're watching the film, they are going to watch, and you're going to watch it, and you're going to get that smile on your face, and you're going to be like, yeah, he was right. So yeah, I think that's the way you should discover it. No other way.
Gone are the days, Arjun, of Tariq pe Tariq pe Tariq. That courtroom drama doesn't exist anymore in our films. We have come close with films to
Hmm.
reality of courtroom dramas, like film like
Hmm.
Pink, films like Jolly LLB, perhaps, where the lawyers and the whole courtroom drama tries to come as close to reality as possible. So in this one, are we going to get a glimpse of reality where there'll be cinematic liberties taken, or will it be a healthy mix?
No, no. You get to know everything from the case. We've tried to stay as true as we can to how a lawyer would argue it.
Hmm.
Keeping the law in mind. Keeping the different clauses, under section this, under section this, all those things, to think how fast a lawyer thinks on his feet, because a big challenge for me before I did this film was I asked Bugs in that first conversation, which we were discussing, I'd asked him, what's the guy being accused of, the guy who I'm defending? So he said, Manav. So it's like, yeah. So he goes, of killing 38 children. As I forget it, I can't do this movie.
Right.
How the hell do I put my head around that?
Right.
It's going to look fake. And especially when I've been spending all my time with a little child at home. So it was just like, I was like, this is just too bizarre. I mean, how do I get out of this headspace and go into that headspace?
Correct.
So he said, just read the script. And then I met a lot of lawyers. I've spoken to a lot of them. My uncle being a lawyer himself, which I've taken a lot of suggesting from him. I asked them, how do you say yes to a case like this? So they said, till proven guilty, everybody is innocent. And this, each and every one of them said unanimously. They said, we give you another example. They said, it's a professional, we are professionals, right? We need to find the truth, okay, and bring the truth out there. When I started reading his case, I felt the guy was completely innocent and that he was being set up, that he is a scapegoat, and that becomes my belief process. This is what we were discussing about the process. The process is about, getting into it like that. So I didn't read the last 4 pages of the film, so I don't know what the verdict was.
Okay, that's
when
interesting.
I did the film. Okay, because I was like, I'm going to fight this case only knowing that my client is
with your
completely,
conviction.
with my conviction. I don't want to know what the verdict is. So that I got to know on set, so when we came closer to doing it. And I can't tell you more, whether it'll be a spoiler, but you'll get to know.
The second time around,
So,
you're collaborating with Z5, and they, I'm sure, are dishing out some really fine content, especially for you. The
they
first was
definitely are.
psycho spiritual thriller. That was the final call. That was a
Yeah.
web series, and this one is they calling it hypnotic thriller. We love these fancy names, this genre.
I don't know if it's hypnotic or not, but it is definitely a very mesmerizing, a very thought-provoking, a very captivating thriller. I think if you have these elements in a story, then, and especially if you're making a courtroom drama and a film which is pretty verbose, and a case that just moves on its head all the time, So, yeah, I think it's a special movie. If we've got at least 80% of what that script was, and I hope we have, and if it's edited and background scores right and everything, I really do believe that this could be in the top 5 films of my career.
All right. And were you sensitive, as you said, because you have a kid at home? So I know for a performer, the residue of what you perform on set does linger on. It stays with you. So switching those sensibilities while on the sets and then being here and not being sensitive on the sets, what was it like? How did you deal with that?
Oh no, that's our job. You see that you can't bring your personal life onto sets. You cannot. You cannot do that. And I am a professional. I'm going to be completing actually 20 years next year.
Yes.
In 2021. So it's going to be my first release, a special movie to celebrate 20 years of myself being in the industry. So in those 20 years, one thing I've definitely learned is that you got to switch off. You got to cut off. You've got this character to play. This is a different person. And he's got his own set of worries. He's got his own set of flaws and positivities and all of that going on in his life. So lead that life. That's why we act, to go and escape into some other characters. So you can't bring your personal life or whatever onto set.
2 decades in the industry, 20 years. The way you have evolved is super. The kind of projects that you're picking, you're choosing is also quite interesting. So, what exactly goes into that process now, 20 years later?
It's a mindset, really. It's your mindset that kind of you realize, okay, we've done everything more or less, worked with everyone. Now what? Now, what is it? I think your skill sets become far more refined. Okay. You have to allow yourself to grow a lot more. You have to take steps back to introspect. And I think that experience you bring onto a set now. So you realize, okay, the importance of being professional, punctual, all there, zoned in, being in good form. And the only way you can be in good form is when you spend a lot of time with the people you're going to work with and read a lot, and so yeah, just be that level of a contributor.
Get a
Little
call.
fellows come. Yeah.
That's okay. Okay. And about this particular character, this high-profile defense lawyer that you're playing in Nail Polish, you told me that you studied quite a few lawyers. But getting those terminologies right and getting them out organically while the act
Hmm.
is on, what exactly went into that?
I think observation is the key. As I said, I was in touch with a lot of lawyers. Their contribution was immense. My uncle and my family, who are a set of lawyers in Jabalpur,
Mhm.
very renowned lawyers, very articulate. I've taken a lot of him, but again, what was important was it comes naturally only once you humanize that character.
Mhm.
So once I know what his flaws are, what his weaknesses are, what his insecurities are, what he likes to do, what his strengths are, where will he draw the line or he won't draw the line, where he is got this instinct of preempting, being ruthless, doing all of that, So once you have all of that in place, then the way you will object to a thing, the way you will approach the bench,
Right.
the way you will cross-examine, the way you will spin a web, and build that story as to what must have happened, create scenarios, and tell that story as to how it must have happened and how it must have occurred, and in that. Um, find the plausibility and the story which would be true to
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
and to the judge
Mhm.
who you're convincing.
I'm having.
So keeping it in that. So
Right.
once you get all of that, I think then all these terminologies and all of that, they start just flowing. You
Right.
don't have to think too much about them.
And after playing this character now, has your faith, has your belief in the strength of the judicial system, not in just India but the world over, has it been solidified, or do you think there is a lot more work needs to be done for it to reach perfection?
Okay, that's a tough one. Um, See, it really depends on a perspective. It really depends on how good your lawyer is or how good that judge is. There are a lot of people in our country, unfortunately, who do not get justice. A, because they don't have access to that level of a lawyer. A very high-profile lawyer, like maybe somebody like I'm playing in this film, like Sid Jaising, can come and turn things on its head using the law very easily. You know, so somebody who's supposed to get justice maybe doesn't get justice. So for me, I think what would be good would be if top lawyers in the country would at least do 10% or 15% of their cases for a person who really needs that kind of defense, or definitely needs that kind of justice. If we can do that, and if lawyers start balancing that, then I think, yes, we have a very strong and good judicial system. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. But it is just that cases can turn. And that's what I learned. Yeah.
Here's my last question, Arjun. In this day and age where everything is streaming on these OTT platforms, right, from movies and web series, when web series were out early on, the euphoria around the web series has sort of quieted, if not exactly, died down. Final Call, of course, was a web series. This one is a movie. You, in your personal capacity, what do you prefer to watch more? Do you watch web series? Do you prefer that, or a movie? Of course, we all want good content, but at the end of the day, which is more convenient?
Uh, it really depends. If I have, it's an investment you make in whatever you're going to go out there to watch. A good web series, I mean, you have a longer investment, of time that you're putting into it, but it also keeps you entertained for so much longer, and keeps you in, and you look forward to the next episode and the next episode and the next episode. So really, I mean, it's a very tough one. It's tough. As an actor, I feel in a web series, which I have done, it gives you time to grow that character. You can have different layers of it, many, many different layers and shades to it. Whereas with a film, because of its time constraint, you have to work on an arc and move that really, really fast. But both ways, I mean, again, if it's good, you'd watch. I'd love to watch a good film or a good web series, or whatever it is. For me, I think theaters hopefully will open soon, because I find going and watching movies in a theater the most romantic thing, where it lures you to get out of your comfort zone, go buy a ticket, buy a popcorn, sit in that big theater. Yeah, sit in that chair, the light, and you're surrounded by strangers, okay, and the lights dim off, and then you're transported into a different world. So yes, and it's much, there's great sound, the scale, everything comes out. But at the same time, not taking anything away from OTT also gives you so much freedom to go and explore and do things, okay, which we weren't getting to do. So you're going to get some great writing. You're going to get some very interesting subjects, which most probably people would not have invested in just as a pure theatrical release, but those kind of films are getting made now. People are getting recognition for that kind of work. There's so much new talent that's coming up. There's so much old talent that's being invented. So I think this is a great time. We'd seen 10 years ago in Hollywood where they called it the golden era of writers and of shows and of just content that was coming out from there. The reason that happened was because that was the boom of OTT there initially, right? I think we are just going to begin that, and there's a long way to go.
You have been donning so many hats and have been entertaining us in your capacity, be it web series or film. All the best for Nail Polish, and thanks a lot for joining us and for those lovely answers.
No, thank you so much. My pleasure. And have a very happy year.
Wish you the same. Thank you. All the best.
God bless. Bye-bye.